Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you happen to be viewing this in your day. I hope it helps, and I hope you help the world become a better place because of it. Today's devotional is coming from Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 3. We just recently preached on Abraham as we're going through the covenants in the Bible. And so here we are looking at Abraham at that most difficult of days. And you'll see why. So sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he'd cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. Amazing. But inside of this kernel, I would say inside of this profound story, which we talked quite a bit about on Sunday, and I'm not going to recite it yet again, there's this kernel of truth about how we can attack those difficult things in life. There's no question that Abraham didn't want to sacrifice his son Isaac. There's no question. He didn't want to do that. He did not want to be obedient to God, but he also knew exactly what God had told him to do. And the profound thing here that I believe will help you, it helps me, it will help every one of us, is something as mundane as inertia. Being asked to do the most difficult thing in his entire life, Abraham's response is early the next morning. He got up, loaded his donkey, cut wood, and got the people together for the journey. Now we could step away from the emotional difficulty of this specific task, and we could say very simply that whatever it is that you know that you're supposed to do in a day, the difficulty lies primarily in the deciding to start. There's an old cliche, a phrase that goes, "Well begun is half done." And that's very true. In my house, I'm not saying this should be the case in your house, but in my house, Thursday night is my dishes night. I hate doing the dishes. I don't know many people that enjoy it. I hate doing the dishes. I don't like doing them at all. And I almost never want to get started on doing the dishes. I almost always can find something else I would much rather do, whether it's conversing with a friend or sipping on a cup of coffee or any number of things. But what I have found is that the idea of doing the dishes is onerous. So instead, I'll convince myself to do 5 minutes. 5 minutes isn't that bad. I can endure 5 minutes. And so what I do is I go into the kitchen, set my coffee cup down, and I go over to the oven, I push the kitchen timer, and I get it up to 5 minutes, and I push start. And then I just start doing the dishes. I'm never done by the time 5 minutes is up, but I've begun. And once begun, I'm half done. And in all honesty, by the time 5 minutes is up, I've made such a dent and done so much of the dishes that needed to be done that emotionally and psychologically, I'm motivated to keep going and finish it up. That simple 5-minute start is huge. Abraham didn't want to sacrifice his son Isaac. But if he's going to travel to Moriah, he's going to need to get up early, and he's going to need to get provisions, and he's going to need to get some people to go along with him, including especially Isaac, and he's going to need to cut some firewood for the sacrifice. And so he gets up early. He doesn't put it off. He doesn't delay. He gets to it, and he starts to do those simple little tasks that are part of the difficult, burdensome, onerous responsibility he's been given. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, let me just cut to the chase and say God stays Abraham's hand and doesn't allow him to sacrifice his son Isaac, that God absolutely abhors child sacrifice, even though it was common in the day of Abraham. He hates it. So let me just put your mind at ease about that. But ultimately, I would say whatever it is that is onerous or difficult or undesirable, but you know you need to do it, get started. Maybe set a 5-minute timer. Just divide it up into small tasks and start doing those things, because inertia is your great friend once you get started. It is your great adversary as long as you're sitting still. I hope this has been a blessing to you, and I hope that our God and King will bless you and keep you, that he will cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that your days will become more productive and your psychological burden lighter, because you take this lesson from Abraham and you just get started. Just get started, because well begun is half done.